His fingers itched to draw something, anything. He put down the paintbrush and went over to the mud by the brook. He picked up a stick and drew in the wet dirt, the way he had ever since he was a very little boy. The big rooster who woke him every morning came out of the chicken yard next door. Fernando looked at him and drew the shape of a rooster. He sighed. He couldn't use his new red and yellow paints to make a bright rooster. He couldn't make the rooster's comb red. He could only scratch out a mud-colored rooster. It wasn't the same as painting would ever be. It didn't have any color. Fernando looked at his pots of paint and was very unhappy. He wanted to paint pictures more than anything else he could think of. At last, Papa said, "I can't stand to see my little boy so miserable." "All right, Fernando, go ahead and paint on the house." Mamma said, "Do your best, Fernando. Remember, the neighbors will have to look at your pictures for a very long time." First, Fernando made a tiny plan of the pictures he was going to paint, painting it with his smallest brush on one corner of the house. "Your plan looks good to me, Fernando," Papa said. "If you can paint pictures small, you should be able to paint them big." Fernando picked up his bigger brushes and started to paint a huge picture of the most beautiful tree in Panama, the flowering poinciana, on the left side of the front door. As he painted, he could look up and see the red flowers of a poinciana tree, just beginning its dry season, blooming on the mountainside. The neighbors were very surprised. Señora Endara called out, "Come and see what Fernando's doing." Señor Ramón said, "Who ever saw a house with pictures on the outside?" Pepita, the little girl next door, asked, "Does your mother know you're painting on your house?" Fernando nodded and smiled and kept on painting. Now and then he would look up at the mountain to see the real poinciana. After a week its flower faded and died. Fernando's tree grew bigger and brighter and redder. On one branch he added a black toucan with a flat yellow bill. On another branch a lazy brown sloth hung by its 3 toes. The neighbors brought out chairs. While Fernando worked, they drank coffee and watched him paint. Next he painted the wall on the other side of the door. An imaginary vine with flat green leaves and huge purple blossoms crept up the wall. Word spread about the little painter of Sabana Grande. Even people from Santa Marta, the village around the mountain, hiked into town to watch him paint. The purple vine now reached almost to the thatched roof. One day, Señora Arias came from the school in Santa Marta. Why was his teacher looking for him? Fernando wondered. It was still dry season, when there wasn't any school. It hadn't rained for a month. "School's not starting yet," his teacher said. "I came to see your painted adobe house that everyone in Santa Marta is talking about. Fernando, you did very well with those paint brushes. I like it." She turned to the neighbors. "Don't you?" "We certainly do," the neighbors agreed. They poured some coffee for the visiting teacher. "Fernando, will you paint pictures on my house?" asked Señor Alfaro. "And mine too?" asked Señor Ramón. Fernando nodded yes, but he kept on painting. For fun, he added a black, white-faced monkey looking down at the people through purple flowers. Next to the door, he painted a big red and yellow rooster, flopping its red comb as it crowed a loud cock-a-doodle-doo. Above the door he painted the words Casa Familia Espino, so people would know that this was the home of the Espino family. Now his pictures were finished. Fernando sat down with his teacher and the neighbors. Everyone said kind words about his paintings. Fernando said nothing. He just smiled and thought to himself, there are still 6 adobe houses left to paint in Sabana Grande.